going on, everybody? Welcome to another week, another episode of the Bold Standard Podcast. Your host, Dylan Martin, Justin Harley, ready to come back at you guys with another good episode as we gear up week 9, basically over the halfway point of the season, man. Justin, how are we feeling? How you feeling this week?
Feeling real good, man. Like I said, I know we talked about it on our recap, from last game, last Thursday. Big win. Despite them having a banged up quarterback, don't care. We talked about that as well. It doesn't matter who's on the field, it's just about what we do. And I thought we looked good in all phases. So I'm feeling really good about how we're looking, how we're feeling, how we're playing.
Yeah.
Team's getting healthier, going into a matchup against a team who's, where they 1-7. It doesn't look good for them. It looks really good for us. And I think this is a game that we just need to handle business. It's not a lot to really talk about. It's just they're a team that's 1-7. They don't have any playoff hopes. We know they got a rookie quarterback. We just need to go and handle business.
Yeah, for sure. I'm right there with you. One of my favorite things about a win on Thursday night, you get a victory Friday, and then you get to turn back around victory Monday because we still won that week. So,
Yep.
it's been a good week. We got to, enjoy a long rested weekend for our players. Some of the guys that really needed it, like Derwin, feeling better this week after, leaving the game and not being sure how he would look. Still not sure about Tony Jefferson. Doesn't look like he'll play because of a hammy, but and then still being out a couple weeks. We kind of talked about that. You can see a post on TikTok that I left you guys about that one. But good rest for all the other guys. Looks like the line will be back. I think Pipkins should be out there again, but Bobby Hart played really well last week. So
Yeah.
all in all, Thursday night was a really great night for us. The Supercharger looked amazing. If you need any more from that, you guys can go check out the last post game show. We're moving on to this week 9 matchup. Like Justin said, we're playing a 1-7 Tennessee Titans team. We are going to Nashville, 12 o'clock start, local time there. So, 1-7 team that just has already fired its head coach. We get to see our old friend Mike McCoy on the sidelines for them.
Yeah.
Uh, you mentioned they got a rookie QB. That's really their guy, Cam Ward. Last time we played a rookie QB, Jackson Dart, we didn't come out and put them down early. But let's get into this game preview. Chargers at Titans. We're coming off a big win. They've been struggling, got blown out by the Colts last week. What are you looking for this week in Tennessee?
Yeah. I mean, you touched on it right there. I was going to talk about, the battle of like kind of like how we play against rookie quarterbacks, stuff like that. Last year we did a really good job against rookie quarterbacks. We really held them in check. I mean, there was a lot of there wasn't any kind of bright spots or like, well, I guess you could say bright spots on the other side. But for as far as teams that have those rookie young signal callers, there weren't any times where I looked last year and it was like, man, they kind of gave us some fits. This year, obviously, the Jackson Dart game, being one of them. But also, I think there were a lot other factors in that game that just allowed them to come out and be more physical, kind of, just take the game over in that sense.
Definitely.
The Titans they just don't strike me as a team that's like that. Their defense doesn't play as ferocious and as tenacious as the Giants defense does. And I know that defense gives that offense a lot of energy, talking about the Giants. So I think that's a big difference when you look at those two teams. And also the type of quarterback Jackson Dart is versus Cam Ward. Cam Ward he's mobile, but he's not as mobile as Jackson Dart. He's not going to be getting those design runs. So I'm not worried about him in that aspect. Getting out the pocket. I mean, yeah, he's going to get out there. He's probably going to try to extend some plays, but I think he's the most sacked quarterback in the league right now. Then you look at stuff like that. You look at his O-line hasn't been playing the best. So I'm just looking forward for our defense to come out and just dominate. I mean, we've done it all the time against these rookie young signal callers. I'm not looking to see anything special. I just want Minter to call a sound game,
Yeah.
which he's been doing. I mean, I can never be mad at Minter outside of those 3 weeks where we really struggled. I mean, it was like, okay, let's get it together. But outside of that, I just want to see a sound game. I want to see a defense and just a team overall that knows, okay, we are the better team. This is not a trap game. Like we need to handle business from start to finish, and that's really what I want to see. So I don't really have any special matchups considering, we're a team that's 5-3 with playoff aspirations, 3-0 in the division. Going up against a team that's 1-7, that's
Yeah.
don't have much going, and might be sellers when it comes to trade deadline and maybe moving some veterans to continue to build that roster going forward. Like I said, they already fired their head coach, Brian Callahan. They got, revenge game. Mike McCoy, man, he's back. He's back. So we'll see, man. But like I said, sound football, dominate from start to finish like that Vikings game, and
Yeah.
that's all I want.
Absolutely. I'm looking for a lot of the same thing. Really, main thing I want to see, I called it a Chargers, a TCB game. Take care of business. I brought up that Jackson Dart thing because we're playing another rookie QB, Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick. But, it's not that perfect storm of a first home start coming off, the whole stadium excited to see that guy. Cam's been out there. So, and the Titans have been struggling. So I don't see them coming out and playing and coming aggressively at us the way New York did like that with that rookie QB starting. And plus, it's two completely different defenses. The front line for the Giants is really good, and we got banged up. Joe Alt left that game. Joe Alt is out. I mean, back out there.
Yep.
And it's a huge difference maker for us, as you saw last Thursday night. Guys just paving the way in the run game. Is you can't get by him in pass protection. I just Man, just you go back and don't know how you felt a couple years ago when we made the draft pick, but so many people calling for Malik Neighbors, and I was kind of one of them at the time. Like, man, we'd love to see Justin throw it to Malik, but I understood the Joe Alt pick.
Mhm.
Now, no brainer. Love that we have Joe Alt. It's such a great pick. Um, but yeah, I'm just looking for us to take care of business because go out and get a strong start. Take these guys out of the game early. Go down and get a quick touchdown score, kind of like we just did against Minnesota. Go up 7, and then put the pressure on them to either keep up and then allow our defense to get after them. Allow Owe to attack the quarterback, Mac, Tooley, let Minter scheme up some of these blitzes. I saw last week we had a package where we had all three of them out there. And then Abogbe was the fourth, which is he's been getting after the quarterback, playing really well.
Yeah.
So I think this can be another opportunity for our defense to continue to come along after, that rough patch with having guys back out there. And, we talked about the extra rest. Mac is another guy that could use that extra rest. So just a TCB game for me. Take care of business. Go out there, be a team that if we're going to be a playoff team and keep pace with guys like KC and who's coming on right now, everybody's talking about KC. Denver's a game up on us right now. They got a tough one against Houston, so we need to either keep pace or jump back ahead of these guys. This is a game you got to have. We can't lose this one. So, is there a key matchup you're looking forward to in this game? Anything that like really stands out to you against these guys?
Not really necessarily a key matchup. Something that I do want to kind of touch on that it's not matchup, so to say, but it's more so like kind of like evaluation. So it's probably going to feel like a home game for a lot of our players. We got a lot of Tennessee Titans on our roster.
True.
So when I look at that, I look at the two teams that we've grabbed players from the most. It's the Titans and the Ravens. And obviously Ravens, we have the connection there, Joe Ortiz. Titans, I don't know if it's just we just love the way their players played in those certain schemes, and it matches a lot what Minter does here. But we just love Lions for some reason. So I look at that. I look at a team that's 1-7, and I look at the trade deadline next Tuesday on the 4th. When I see that, I see a team who's already been moving pieces. They already traded away Roger McCreary,
Yep.
their cornerback, he's more like a slot corner. So that just tells me right away, like they're in business of they're trying to move some pieces to get some draft capital to keep building towards, Cam Ward in the future, So I look at that and I'm like, hey, this is a good game for us. And I'm not saying a matchup, but more so like evaluation. Okay, let's look at some of these guys. What about Kevin Zeitler, who was a free agent, and they signed him. I thought Zeitler could have been a great pickup for us. What's going on now? You guys are 1-7, probably going to be 1-8. Zeitler, you're come on, you're a vet. You want to stay on a team that's selling people away? They're tanking pretty much.
Yeah.
Can we pry him away for a low draft pick? I look at someone like I know people keep saying that we're going to go out and get a running back. I don't really see it. Um, I don't see them trading away Tony Pollard. I definitely don't see them trading away Tajay Spears, who I like Spears a little bit better than Pollard. But I don't see them trading away any of those guys. But I do look at Kevin Zeitler. I look at some of the guys along the D line. I don't see them trading Jeffrey Simmons, and I don't see us being willing to pay up for Jeffrey Simmons.
Uh,
But if it's a possibility, I would take it because Simmons
yeah.
is a monster.
Yes.
But outside of that, like that's one thing that I do kind of look at and look at some of those guys that may pop and maybe they're vets, and it's like, you know what? Joe Ortiz at right, he might be on a plane home saying, "Hey, let me call up the GM. Hey, man, this guy played really good for you guys. I know you guys 1-7. Let me help you guys out. Let me throw you a sixth round, a seventh round for this guy.
Yeah.
You never know. So that's something that I am kind of interested in and just see what 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 comes of it because we have tons of Titans on our roster. It's something about that organization, something about the scheme or whatever is going on over there that this front office clearly likes.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what happens with that.
Interesting. Yeah, it could get interesting. Trade deadline next Tuesday. This is a chance for us to take a look at some of those guys. Um, For me, the key matchup, and it's not really just like a one-on-one matchup. I want to see our red zone offense finish drives against the Titans defense. So that's my key matchup. Last week, we got 3 touchdowns in the red zone. We were 3 for 4, which pulled us out of the 30s. We had been in the
Whew.
30s all year, like the bottom or second to last team in the red zone, which when you look at this offense with Herbert and the weapons we have, just it isn't fathomable to be that low. You look at all the other teams around us were bad teams, so that was something we had to improve on. We did a lot better last week, and I want us to keep climbing the charts. Um, you know, could that be the Joe Alt effect? I think so. And Joe Alt is still there. And the name you mentioned, Jeffrey Simmons, will not be out there for them. So we should be able to run the ball pretty well and protect Herbert and throw the ball over the yard. Another starter for them, Mercury, you mentioned, gone. So Titans are doing a youth movement right now, offensively and defensively. It seems like so. For them right now, they're evaluating who's going to be a key piece for them next year. So for us, my matchup, I want to see us, our red zone offense continue to finish drives. And that's how you TCB, like I said, take care of business by getting 7, not settling for 3 and letting them hang around. So moving on, let's get into everybody's favorite Bolt Standard betting segment. So we always kick it off with our Bolt the Door lock of the week. So I'm gonna let you start this week. We had a pretty good week last week. So let's see if we can keep it rolling, kind of like the Chargers. So what are you looking at this week for your Bolt the Door lock of the week?
So I am going to my boy who got him in all my fantasy leagues, raved about him all year long preseason. I think his line is at a really good spot considering who we're playing, considering how often he's on the field, and just kind of looking at the way we're kind of deploying him. I'm going OG Rondé Gadsden the second
Okay.
over his receiving line. It's at 45 and a half.
Okay.
It's minus 114 on FanDuel. He's hit that line in the last 3 weeks straight. He's been over that. So not really worried about him not clearing that line. He is a player who's since I think it was week 5, and it's kind of been a trend in the upward direction where his snap counts and his just like routes participation has just been through the roof.
Yeah.
He's literally, I think he's ran like the most routes on our team in the last like couple of weeks outside of Lad, because you got to think about when we're in 12 personnel and if we're in one receiver sets, and a lot of times we're using Trey Harris or QJ in those one receiver sets because we're running the football. Um, but Gadsden's still out there,
Yeah.
so he's leaking out. He's running those routes, so he's out there a ton. And you just look at what he's done in the last couple of weeks, and even he popped against the Giants too. He had a really good game then, in week 4. But you just look at what he's done. He's sure-handed. He pretty much catches everything that's thrown his way. I'm looking at him to have another game where he's just proving his worth, showing that yep, I belong here, and just be that security kind of blanket outside of Ladd and Keenan for Herbert. I mean, you look at the last couple of games, and I don't know if it was I mean, obviously against Indy, Keenan had a huge game, and he played a ton. So I don't know if it was maybe, short week, Keenan was rested a little bit, but it doesn't look like Keenan plays a lot in 2 wide receiver sets. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like he plays a lot in 1 wide receiver sets, but I think it's because they have OG and they're able to use OG as a big slot, kind of flex him out a little bit. So I just love the line. I look at how we're using OG. I just love it. I don't see why he wouldn't hit that number 45 and a half. Also, him being a younger guy, if we're getting up. I think he's still going to be out there. He's not
Yeah.
a Keenan, they're going to be like, oh, we're up. No, Keenan, come out. We're going to play
Yeah.
the young guys. He is a young guy. He's a rookie. So I think he's going to stay out there, even if we do have a pretty good lead. So I love that line. That's my bolt the door lock of the week.
All snaps are valuable snaps for OG at this point, and he didn't even play the first couple of weeks. So
Nope.
he's still, getting used to being out there, getting the play calls in and doing all the stuff on the field. And it seems like already he has such a good rapport with Justin, and
Yep.
that goes a long way. Like, and Justin even talks about it too. Like he just trusts him with the ball. And we've talked about it the last couple pods now that he's been popping off a little bit. Like when you have a big body and a mismatch at tight end. It just creates a lot of problems for the defense, and I think that's something like that's a great line for him. And
Yeah.
I just don't see who they have on their defense that can cover him. So
No.
of course I'm liking that line. You'll probably see me slide that on one of my parlays this weekend. For me, my bolt-to-door lock kind of goes hand in hand with yours. I'm taking Herbert's over on passing yards. It's at 242 and a half. That's sitting at minus 112 on DraftKings, where I got my lines today. Herbert averages 267 a game. and he is currently the number one passer in the NFL with 2,140 passing yards. So I feel like 242, even with game script, he could still get over that if we're ahead of them because we throw the ball. And
Yep.
if anything, I think the Titans have a better defensive front than they do secondary. Teams have been able to throw the ball all over them. So I think we'll do the same thing. Even though they even got beat up on the run last week, but that's the Colts. So I'm not sure if that's just how bad their D line is or just how good the Colts O line and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
But I love 242 and a half. I think we're still going to throw the ball. We got these weapons. You got to feed the weapons to keep everybody happy. QJ didn't have any targets last week. I think he'll get some. He can have a big gain. I like OG's matchup all the time. Lad's still going to get the ball. He's been coming on strong lately. And I think we see more from Keenan this week. I think last week was more of just quick turnaround. He's a vet. We didn't need him that much anyways. It was 37-10, so just got him some rest. But I'm taking over 242 and a half for Justin Herbert as my bolt the door lock of the week.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I mean, we've had a couple of rough games. Obviously, O-line was real banged up, a couple of those losses that we had. But I think it's a season where Herbert can prove that he's an MVP type player. And I think one of those things that needs to happen, I think he does need to lead the league in passing. So I love him hitting that over because I think that that's something that he needs to continue doing, keep, throwing the football. And then, I mean, he leads the league in pass attempts. So I don't see it changing. And then we have some tough matchups coming down the line. So those are going to be games where I feel like we're definitely going to be throwing the ball even more. But in a game like this, there should be no reason why he can't smash that line. So I love it.
Yeah, we sneak a few more wins in and get up to, we're at 5-3 now. We sneak to 7, 8-3 with him leading the league in passing and controlling games like he's been. I think he finds his way back into MVP talks. I think he should be up there right now, or he's just right outside the guys like, Drake May's getting that attention now, and of course everybody's back on Pat. But if you're giving those guys the love, I think Herbert deserves some love too, because even when we were losing, he was the only bright spot that we had. And I know he's had a couple more interceptions than normal, but it's not all on him. Things happen when you're throwing the ball as much as we are, and you're being aggressive. You kind of got to take some of those with quarterbacks
Oh,
because
for sure.
of the aggression.
Absolutely. And just touch on that real quick. I love that you brought that up because there's so many people who talk about, the Drake May, and which Drake May be playing really good football, but they're also playing bottom of the division schedule. So they get to play all the worst teams in all the other divisions from the prior year.
Yep.
Which teams have gotten a lot better this year. So, take that with a grain of salt. But you look at the QB play. And there was a chart that was going around, and I meant to screenshot it, but there was a chart talking about like quarterback like pass protection, and it was like a composite score that like it coupled like PFF blocking grades with like it was one other thing, and the Chargers literally were 30th out of 32, talking about like their pass
Oh
protection
yeah.
score.
Yep.
So just so when you look at that and you look at all the teams that were around them, it was like Miami. It was all these just terrible teams. But then you look at the quarterback play and you look at, I mean, even if you're just looking at just PFF, PFF has Herbert ranked as the third best quarterback on a PFF score basis right now. And PFF's not everything. I understand that. But when you look at how bad the blocking has been, but then you look at how good Herbert has been, you can't tell me that he's not an MVP type player. When you got someone like, I get it. I love Mahomes, although, he's a Chiefs player. That's not my team. I just love good quarterback play. So I do really do. I enjoy watching him play outside of the theatrics he has sometimes trying to draw penalties. But you look at his O line and you look at the composite score for his O line, it's like I think it's like second, like it's top three. It's top
Yep.
three in the league. So you look at his quarterback play versus Herbert's, but then you look at their O line plays, it's night and day. Brett, one of the best to one of the worst. So when I look at that stuff, I'm like, I hate how Herbert's not thrown in those conversations because it's like I know you guys are seeing what we're seeing. This
Yep.
guy is fighting for his life every snap, and he's still out there just diming people left and right. Like I
Yep.
don't get it. I don't get it, man.
He's lifting us up so much, and I don't think he gets as much respect as he should for how much heavy lifting he's doing and bringing everybody up around him. So
Hmm.
yeah, I agree with you there. So yeah, we're looking at Herb to continue his run. People are giving him some love even off the field right now. He had a nice fun weekend. It looked like out there in LA. at the Dodger game, a little Halloween party. So, shout out to Justin Herbert, right? These days, it's good to be 10.
Yep.
So back to the bold standard betting. Let's go to number two, our favorite over under. What you got this week? Favorite over under?
Yep. So I'm taking that over to Tennessee, to Nashville. We are going with Cam Ward over 32 and a half pass attempts.
Hmm.
I think it's a game where I think it's going to get out of hand pretty quickly. I think it's going to be a game where they don't have a strong running game anyway. And he's hit this line in the last 6 out of his 8 games. Well, 6 out of the 8 games because he's only played 8 games. The only 2 games where he didn't hit it was week 1 versus Denver, and then also week 4 versus Houston. But in those 2 games, I mean, the Denver game wasn't really that. I mean, it was kind of close. They lost 20-12, but the Houston game was like 26-0. So that game was just no shot. But he's hit this line 6 out of 8 times. It's a team that's gonna have to throw the football. They're not. It's not gonna be a close game. I just don't see it being a close game. They don't have a good run game. I think they're gonna probably use a lot of the short, quick passes to try to get the ball out of Cam Ward's hand because. I mean, you look at what we've been doing. I mean, not against the Colts. Obviously, they're just a really complete, really good team. That O line is tremendous. But you look what we did against the Vikings last week. Thule, Mack, Owe,
Yep.
Boygby, we were getting pressure night all the time. So you
Yep.
look at that, I think that they're going to have to utilize that quick passing game, get the ball out of Cam Ward's hand, and try to set up some of those plays because I think that's going to be the only way they're going to be able to sustain drives. I don't think it's going to happen by running, and I don't think they're going to have enough time initially to have those deep shots. So they're going to have to do some of that quick pass game stuff to kind of get us to kind of back off a little bit. So I think 32 and a half is a great number. And on FanDuel, that's at minus 120. So that's my favorite over under.
Hey, I like that one too. They're gonna have to throw a lot being down if we come out and do what I think we're gonna do and what we both think that we'll do in this game by being ahead.
Yep.
So game script could definitely fall into him throwing over because you're not gonna run the ball on us really that well anyway, especially when you're down. I think our run defense has picked it up a lot after that Colts game. We turned that around. I'm sticking with the Titans for my favorite over under as well, but I'm going with their team total points under 16 and a half. So that's minus 110. I think our defense has shown that we're able to answer the bell. Only gave up 10 to the Vikings that probably have a little bit more weapons. I know Carson Wentz isn't, that great of a QB these days, but he, got them one drive away from beating Philly the week before,
Yep.
and scored more than 10 points against those guys. So I credit our defense with how we played in that game and how we answered the call coming into that one. I think we know we need to do the same thing and continue that. It's kind of one of those momentum things. You have some good and it snowballs downhill. Then you look on the other side at them. 4 out of the last 5 games, they've been under that total. And the only one that they got over was when they scored 22 against the Cardinals, where they miraculously came back at the end. Apart from
Hmm.
that, it was 14 last week, 13 against the Patriots before that, 10 against the Raiders before that. Um,
Yep.
the Titans, they beat the Cardinals 22-21. Then before that, it was 26-0. They lost.
Zero.
So, I think we do what we need to do. They don't even have Calvin Ridley out there either. So it's
Nope.
like I mentioned before, it's a really a young team over there. It's all Cam Ward. They're leaning a lot on a Umanor at receiver. He really likes to find him.
Yeah.
Gunnar Helm is starting to come on at tight end for him. So those are his guys, but I think we have plenty to hold them in check and not allow them to sustain drives. And if they do, hold them to 3. So 16 and a half, I'm going under on that one for my favorite over under.
No, I like that. Just like you said, man, they only hit that line 3 times out of their 8 games this season. Um, the way our defense has been playing, yeah, I don't see them getting over 16 and a half. 16 and a half is I honestly that's actually pretty high. I mean, I feel like it's pretty high. I mean, I know these sports books do a really good job with these lines. It's like sometimes it's like, man, how do they come up with this stuff and how do they get so close and so accurate? But I do think that that's a little bit too high just for the defense that we have. How much the Titans have been struggling. The players that are banged up and not playing, they don't have, like you said, they don't have Ridley, no Simmons on defense, so that's going to stress them defensively. And I think that that's going to I think it's going to add on to how they have to have that maybe aggressiveness on offense. And they're not a team that can play aggressive and actually be successful. So I see a lot of turnovers in this game, honestly, for them too. So yeah, no, love it, love it. Jumping over to anytime, I'll just lead us right into it.
Hey,
I do want to give a quick little shout out because I'm locked in with them. So Donovan 15 over on Instagram. I want to give a little shout out. We put up a post just seeing what you guys liked for anytime touchdowns this week versus the Titans. And Donovan said, pulling it up right here, he said, "Lad, anytime touchdown, he's getting going." So I agree with him. I agree with him. Scored touchdown in the last three of his four games, leading us in targets over the last four games. You just see that connection. I mean, and it's something that we talked about where it's like, hey, when is Lad gonna get going? Like, what's going on? Like, why is it the QJ show? Keenan Allen's back. We know Keenan Allen. I mean, I'll never rule Keenan Allen out. I talked about him early on in our pod saying, hey, if you got a chance to draft him in your fantasy leagues and you get him at value, do it. And he's paid on that, like paid on that big time. So no, I love it. The lad anytime touchdown because he really is getting going, and you see him over these last couple of weeks really being that guy. And it's like, man, this is the lad that started taking over after like week 7 or week 8 last year. So I'm really excited to see what he does for the rest of the season because we know the kind of receiver that lad is, man, and we know the quarterback that we got in 10.
Yep.
And those guys can be special. And we've seen it with, Herbo and Allen, and it's brewing with Herbo and Lad. So no, I got him. I'm locked in with you on that, Donovan. Lad, anytime touchdown, plus 135. Yeah, I'm locking that one in.
Sure. Good call on the anytime TD. And then shout out Donnie for the call on Lad right there. Lad the Milkman McConkey. I don't call him the DD anymore. I got Lad the Milkman as his new nickname. Shout out to the Halloween party.
Yes, sir.
I'm staying in the air. I think we attacked you guys through the air. I think we put up a pretty good amount of points. And I'm going with Keenan. It's been a couple games where we haven't seen him. So Herbert still loves him in the red zone, so I see us inside the 10-yard line, needing to make a pass, and Keenan can be that guy, especially with OG probably commanding a little extra attention. Lad coming on, but Keenan still gets his targets too when he gets the time. I mean, you look at what we saw against Indianapolis. Tons of targets and attention over there as well. So I got Keenan at plus 155 as my favorite anytime touchdown this week.
No, I love that too. Like I said, anything that revolves around the ball being in Ten's hands. I mean, which it's got to be in Ten's hand if it's going to make it over to 13. So,
Yep.
no, I love it. And like you said, even last week, you look at it, it kind of seemed like it was where's Keenan Allen? He wasn't playing much. I think it was game script. I think it was more so, we played against a game which Indy where, Herbert threw the ball tons of time. Allen was on the field a ton of the time. He's up there. He's 33, and so it's like, okay, let's give him a little break. We don't need him. We probably won't need him much against the Titans either, but I do see him playing more. And like you said, he is a real big threat in the red zone. He just has that connection with Herbert. He knows how to get open, scramble drill. He knows to find those little windows. I can see that happen big time for sure.
Third and Keenan. We're looking at you to get in the end zone this week, big dog. We only need 4 catches to become the all-time leading receiver in Chargers history. So
Yep.
that's something to keep an eye on because we do go back home the following next weekend, and it's
Okay.
a primetime game, Sunday Night Football against the Steelers. So him doing that on primetime would be pretty sweet if he doesn't get 4 this week, but it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to think he doesn't get 4 unless
Yeah,
we're blowing these guys out again or keeping him on the shelf. But
for sure.
what else to keep your eye on this weekend? When it comes to Chargers and Keenan Allen. He can make history this weekend with 4 receptions. So we'll move right into our game predictions. We talked about us being in Tennessee this weekend. The Chargers are currently listed as a 9.5 point favorite on the road. Um, let's get right to it. What do you think is going to happen this week? What is your game prediction for the Chargers at the Tennessee Titans this weekend?
So I think we do cover that line. I think for everything that we just talked about, a team that just doesn't seem like they really have a true identity, a team that's rocking with, an interim head coach because they fired their head coach. I think it's a team that just really they're reeling, and it's a team that they're looking to be like, hey, okay, what are we? What do we have? How can we evaluate guys for this second half of the year? I have us winning this game super comfortably. I have us at a score of 34-10.
Ooh.
I don't think that there's a way that looking at the line, looking at the team that we're playing and how they've played over the last couple of weeks. I mean, you look at the opponents that they've played the last couple of weeks, and you just talked about it. I mean, they put up 10 points against Las Vegas. Like that alone. I mean, I look at Indy, I look at New England. They put 14 and 13 on those two teams, but like those are two teams that are playing really well as well. But 10 points against Vegas, I look at that and I'm just like, yeah, no way. So I just see us really just handling this game. I'm not going to dig into stats and where these guys rank, and I don't think there's any need for that. I think it's a team that just truly can't they can't match up with us. And I'm looking for us to show that and prove that here on Sunday because there's no reason why this game should be anywhere near a close game or anything where I'm looking at like, what are we doing? There shouldn't be any of that at all.
Yep.
So 34 to 10.
34 to 10. That's a good call right there. It's a very comfortable game. Would love to see that. We came off a 37 to 10 game, so back to back 30 plus point games and only allowing 10 would be amazing to see, especially as we're gearing in towards another prime time game. Um, I'm going 27-16 Chargers. We cover that spread. We got them under that 16 and a half.
Mhm.
The Vegas be on that line, so I think they could teeter
Yeah.
that line, but I think it's going to be a 27-16 to where they're like, we're up 27 to 9 or 27 to 10 and they get a touchdown with like 3 minutes left and don't get the 2 point conversion or something like that. So I don't think it's a 27-16 to where like it's back and forth. I think it's going to be one of those ones where, it's 27, 21 to 7, 24 to 7. We get a field goal to finish it off and then maybe they go down and get a little garbage time TD. So I don't think we're going to have too much of an issue with it. But I would love for it to be 34 to 10 and we just go out there and dominate. But it is another East Coast trip. Tennessee is on the other side from LA, so that can play a factor with that noon start, early start for us. But I just think we're just too good of a team. They just don't have enough. They're still figuring out how they want to use some of their young guys. I mentioned the names that Umanor is their receiver right now with Ridley out. Gunnar Helm starting to come on, but we have answers for those guys. So as long as we can stop the run a little bit, Cam Warren hasn't been able to pop too much just because there's just not enough there. So I think 27-16 should be a comfortable win for us. I do have two stats though I did want to point out because I saw something that came up and I think it deserves to be talked about as we head into week 9 over halfway through the year. We're the number one offense on third down right now. And we convert 48.7% of the time on third down.
Yep.
Pretty good, especially when you consider some of the guys that were protecting us on third downs, because third down is more of a passing down a lot of the time anyway.
Yeah.
So for us to be at the top of the league right now is pretty special. So shout out to the offense for doing that. And then I got a defensive one. On Twitter, Ian Hartiz had a havoc rating, which was the top defenses when a defense gets the percentage of the time that a defense gets a pressure, a TFL, a forced fumble, interception, or a pass breakup. So basically, they did something on the play to force a negative from the other side.
Yep.
And the Chargers are number 6 in the league right there at 41% of the time. They're doing one of those things.
Hmm.
And I think, considering that stretch we had, we were pretty down on the defense a little bit. To be sitting at 6 as far as going out and making plays against the offense, I think that's something worth mentioning. And something, the teams that are ahead of them are teams like the Bucks that have a pretty solid defense. The Broncos, the Seahawks are known for having a good defense. Lions surprisingly are up there, but they've been playing really good defensive ball this year. And then the Rams, those are the only 5 ahead of us. Texans are behind us, great defense. So,
Yeah.
I think we have a lot of guys that are willing to go out there and make plays. So let's go out there and do that this weekend and put these young guys down to let them be in the game and go out there, cruise to victory, and come on back home to LA and get back to SoFi.
Yeah, no, I love those stats, man. Like you said, especially considering how bad we've looked in certain phases on offense, like red zone offense, and just like you said, the guys who are out there, no shade to any of the guys that are on our team, but I mean, just blocking has not been good, and for us to be that good on third down, knowing that it is considered a more primarily passing down, whatever based on the down and distance. But for us to be first in the league in that is pretty amazing. And then also being sixth in havoc rate, I love to see it. And I think that honestly we only get better, truthfully, because I mean you look at like with OA coming on, learning the playbook more, having those three edge sets where it's OA, Mac, Thule. Those, I mean, we saw it when it was. I mean, and Joey really wasn't even the Joey that we know. But when it was those three edge sets with Joey, Khalil, and Thule, we were wreaking havoc in those sets.
Definitely.
Running stunts with like Joey and Thule, and it looked really good. And I see a lot of that the same thing with the three that we have now. But we also have more of an interior presence too. So I only see that going up. So no, love those stats that you pointed out. Um, was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrap up and get out of here? Like I said, we gotta great opportunity to go from 5-3 to 6-3, keep establishing that presence, keep those wins going because we got a pretty favorable stretch coming up these next 4 games. And then it gets a lot
Yeah.
tougher teams like the Eagles. We got the Chiefs coming back. Well, we actually got to go to the Chiefs. We got the Houston on the schedule. We got Dallas, who offense is looking really good. Defensively, they're a mess, but you got to fight fire with fire on that one. So there's a really nice stretch coming up, but then it gets a lot tougher going forward. So anything you got before I close this out here?
Nah, just go out there and take care of business, man. Like I said multiple times on the pod already, but TCB game, and like you mentioned, stack these wins now before it get a little bit tougher to get later, because then that'll help us. Where if we do drop one or two to some of those tough teams coming up, we got Eagles in the home stretch, Chiefs, Broncos again, and which both of those are on the road, and then you mentioned the Cowboys, so Texans. So right now, while we have this stretch, go out there, stack these wins, get up, get to jump to 6-3. You can't get to 7-3, 8-3 without getting to 6-3. So worry about this Sunday right now. We'll take care of business down the road with those other guys.
Absolutely, man. I think we might have to start throwing up a bunch of acronyms, man. We got TCB, we got FTR, we got BTFU, man. It's we about to just start loading them up, man. They're gonna be hashtagged all over the place. But no, man, like I said, we appreciate you guys sticking it out with us. Just being here, tuning into the pod, whether you're catching us on YouTube, whether you're catching some of the videos and content that we're putting out on social media, whether that's TikTok or Instagram. Just let us know, if you think we're doing a good job, shout us out a little bit. If you think we're doing a bad job, give us that criticism. Let us know because I mean, those are the ways that'll help us improve. So that's one thing that you're going to keep hearing from us as we make these pods. We want the feedback, whether good or bad. We love that, you guys engage with us a little bit on Instagram, engage with us a little bit more on TikTok and different things like that. I mean, don't be shy or afraid and be like, oh, well, if I comment on a post, they might not even say anything. Like, no, we're out there. We're definitely tuned into those avenues and those channels. So definitely keep interacting with us. But yeah, man, we're excited for an opportunity to go 6-3. Every game is important, no matter the opponent. So let's do it Sunday. Let's take this dub. Let's go 6-3. And until that moment happens on Sunday, bolt up.